So now, how does technology fit into that? I mean, are you something that you're loving, you're hating, or you're just, accepting because you need to adapt? So talk a little bit about that.
The quick answer is I'm accepting because I need to adapt. I like the product, but I guarantee you, your AI will come up with a faster answer. I will have a better answer. I've had staff people not realize, man, you're not an auditor. You just go on any place that's got a problem and you fix it. It's like, then I must be doing my job right, because I've got partners who want me on their engagements because they got screwed up clients. All along, it's never been about me. It's been about the firm.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of our exciting Accountant Showcase series, where we bring on guests to talk about their journey, their career, what they're doing now, what they've done before, how they got in the industry, right? So these are things on the mind, but also we want to spotlight, folks that are making an impact with innovation, strategy, and of course, integrity. So today, with over 4 decades, of experience, we have Matt Mitzen, who's principal at Bronswick Benjamin PC. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. So please tell us a little bit about yourself, and also how did you get into the whole profession?
Well, thanks for inviting me. This is a new, exciting experience for me. Excuse me. A little bit about myself. Born and raised in Chicago. I tell people, everyone here in Las Vegas is saying, are you a Cubs fan or a White Sox fan? And my answer is, there's only one team in Chicago, and if I wasn't a Cubs fan, my parents would have sent me back till I was ready. Grew up North Sider, school in Evanston, Illinois. Went to school at the University of Pennsylvania. Got out, went into public accounting. My uncle was an accountant, partner at a large firm in Chicago, and I thought he was a cool uncle, so it was kind of interesting. The journey to accounting was actually pretty simple. I had a double major of accounting and finance. And the first people that came to interview in the fall were the Big 8 accounting firms. Back at the time, Big 8. You said 4 decades, right? So being the slightly nervous person that I was, probably still am, went through the Big 8 interviews, got an offer, took the offer. 42 years later, I'm here talking to you in front of the Las Vegas skyline.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And wow. So the same company, not changed.
Not the same company.
Not the same company, okay.
I did the math in between one of the sessions, and we can go through this because it did help form me. I've been with 13 accounting firms.
13, okay.
13 accounting firms. 3 of them are because a firm that I was working at was acquired by a firm which coincidentally I had worked at before.
Okay. In
a different iteration. That's something that's very odd, to say the least. Being acquired is difficult. You have a whole new culture to get into, a whole bunch of things like that. The oddity for me was 3 times in 10 years, like I said, a firm I used to work for acquired the firm that I was at. And I would have people come up to me and say, they ran the list of names by, and yours was the only one I saw, and it was like in 20-point font because I remembered you. I'm like, good, right? Like, yeah, definitely good, right? But still, it changes things, and every firm's culture is different.
Yep.
You look at the landscape out there, and we all think we're quality, and 99.999% of us are. We at least that high. We all go with integrity. We all look the best for our clients, etc. But not everybody can talk the talk or walk the walk. So it tells you how much I go through some of these discussions. I think of the 13 firms that I've been through, maybe 2 of them truly walk the walk.
Oh, wow.
And one of them was a firm that got acquired, and the firm that acquired did not. And you know these things.
Yeah.
You know these things.
Sometimes you're gonna, kind of similar to what, during the Allen speech this morning, folks that will perform underperform at one firm, move to another, and they're hitting it out of the park, right?
Exactly. So one of the firms that I was at early in my career, which became a firm that acquired a firm that I worked at, the managing partner said, I'm a great marketer, so think about it this way. There's 15 meals in a work week. You could have one a day with your family. You should have 10 meals with bankers and lawyers and other contacts. Oh, today, I might be able to handle 3 or 4 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, there was no way. But he wanted you to be like him. This past year, I was responsible for bringing in over $100,000 of business for quality control work and peer review work, which is not what everybody goes for, because our managing partner said, how is it best for you, Matt, to be able to go out and get some business? I said, well, are you going to come with me? And he said, no, but I'll get everything set up and I'll do the first call with you. He did the first call, and all of a sudden, there it is. And now I know how to do it. But 30 years ago, no clue. And yet it was go into the deep water and go for it. So they had all the same very high level, let's work this way, let's do these things. But they did not preach that. I'm sorry, they preached it, they didn't do it.
Right. Wow.
Here, Jeff Bronswick does it.
Yeah. So that's why, you've had some continuity with that, right? And so what would you say your strengths are throughout your career working for these firms? Have you been doing excellent work in one aspect, or have you grown multifaceted? Can you talk a little bit about that during your career journey?
Sure. I started out, and if you probably talk to the people that I worked with my first year at that Big 8 firm, they would look and say, I can't believe he's still in accounting, much less a principal, much less a QC person who is doing peer reviews and grading other people and presenting in front of this conference with, I think they said my room was going to have 180 people in it tomorrow. They would have just looked at me like, what? I've always wanted to learn. And in high school, I was always reading Ellery Queen mysteries from the 1930s. They were really cool. Learned about old stuff too. And I started doing crossword puzzles in ink. And one of the first things I learned when I went to college was when you do crossword puzzles in ink and you take a whiteout bottle with you, you leave the plane with whiteout all over your hands because the air pressure is just all over you. So I did that once and I learned. And my mantra to people has been, you can't get upset at me the first time. If you explain to me what I did and how to do it right, I will do it right the second time.
Good.
And I've had bosses, my second year, the best lesson I ever learned was a boss who anything that I gave to them was wrong if they didn't understand it, even when I was right. And when I was proven right, I never got an, oh, okay, good, or hey, that's good, I learned something, or oh, I'm sorry. It was just, oh. And I don't think in the 38 years since then that I've told somebody they were wrong more than once or twice, because I couldn't stand hearing that. So all along the way, everything that I've done has been kind of based on that. How do I want to be led? I'll try to figure out how you want to be led and instructed. There have been places, one of the firms that I was at, I've had staff people not realize, man, you're not an auditor. You just go on any place that's got a problem and you fix it. It's like, then I must be doing my job right, because I've got partners who want me on their engagements because they got screwed up clients. I'm sorry, technical term. Clients who have accounting issues. I've got 4 new staff people on this engagement. Can you go and lead them and teach them things of that nature? I want to learn. I like to think that my breadth of knowledge is the mile wide, but a lot more than an inch deep. There's a lot of people in public accounting that know this and know it really well, and good on them. When derivative accounting came out however many years ago, there was a partner at EY that I think they said could have billed 48 hours a day, 14 days a week at $800 an hour. And this is 20 years ago, because he had that niche specialty. Good for him. If that's what he enjoyed doing, that's great. I like knowing a lot.
Yeah.
about a lot of different things.
And to know understand and work to your strengths.
Work to your strengths.
I agree with you when when leading teams, right, and someone makes a mistake. I mean, you would assume you're gonna support them the first time. If you see that mistake again, it's like, come on. And like you said, you would make that mistake again, and that's awesome because mistakes are gonna happen, right? But there's managers out there that will get upset at the first time and the second time, and that doesn't go well with everybody. Or they won't tell somebody with the first 2 times.
They'll just fix it themselves.
Yeah, that's not how you learn, right?
You can't fix it yourself. Again, going back to today, you're a senior, a manager, a partner, which means you should be doing certain levels of work. And every now and again, you got to say, oh yeah, I'll fix this, or I'll do that, because you got to process things. But if you're spending a couple hours if I'm spending a couple hours cleaning up your work, I should have given it back to you, because the next person's going to spend a couple hours cleaning up your work. So now we just burned 4 hours, not 2, not a half.
It's super important that you need to have that structure and even if they're on site, if they're remote, if they're onshore, near shore, offshore, you have to have discipline processes in place for everybody. Everyone's doing the same thing.
The hardest person I ever managed would not make a conclusion. So they did all their cash work. First year person, second audit, did all their cash work. It looked like it was a real nice job. She vouched her checks. She looked at the ones, at the signers back in the day we used to get the checks. They would look at the front and back of the checks, look at the bank statement, did a transfer, did all that fun stuff.
Right.
So there's the conclusion. Is cash fairly stated in all material respects? Well, I don't know. I'm new at this. And I said something else, and we tried going back and forth. Finally, I said, you know what? I've got a meeting with the controller for half an hour. When I come back, I need you to either have that signed or write out why it's not. And even then, it wasn't done. And I couldn't work with that. I would rather you make a best efforts mistake than not do something. You've got to try. I can't figure out how you think.
Yeah.
I can't figure out what you know or don't know if you don't start to show me what you know or don't know.
Yeah.
So try to keep an atmosphere that mistakes are okay.
Yeah. They're going to happen, exactly.
It's going to happen. My real life profession isn't being a quality control person. I'm in charge of Little League umpires. And I train the kids. You're allowed to make mistakes. Don't do anything stupid. Don't be belligerent. And learn from it. And if you do those 3 things, you're going to be great.
Always be learning from I call them challenges that you encounter, and then carry on the successes, right? There's never, you can success, failure, yes, but you gotta look at it in a positive aspect here.
Learn what you do well.
And carry on your success.
And build it up. Exactly. Some of the people I had trouble working with in the past, I say people, being firms, they had their vision of how they expected you to be. And if you couldn't fit into their box, they tried to get you to fit into that box.
And
there's a lot of good things I can do. When I generally don't make the same mistake twice. I'll remember something. I may not know the exact standard, but I'll know where to find it, and I'll be able to rationalize through everything and figure out what the answer is.
Right.
That's what I do. I don't go out there and go to 15 cocktail parties to try to meet everybody's brother to figure out who I can bring in is the next piece of business.
Right.
That's what other people do.
Yeah. How have you, so over this time, I mean, wow, you've seen quite a bit in this industry. I like to call it profession, but the innovation in accounting, right? Specifically the fact that, you know a wealth of things and you do them right, that are very important in the management within a firm. So now, how does technology fit into that? I mean, are you something that you're loving, you're hating, or you're just, accepting because you need to adapt? So talk a little bit about that.
The quick answer is I'm accepting because I need to adapt. I will not be the first person at the front of the curve. but I will also not be building the dam to stop it because I know that it helps.
Mhm.
At this BDO conference, they have the trade show, and there was a group in the back with all the AI alternatives for things, and someone was trying to sell it, and I said, basically, Chris, don't worry, I like the product, but I guarantee you, your AI will come up with a faster answer. I will have a better answer.
Mm.
So there is a little bit of arrogance or cockiness floating around in here too.
Well, you
But
can.
I also know what I'm looking for. I also know what I'm looking for.
Right.
So like anything else, a pencil is only as good. If I write down 56 and the answer is 22, my pencil didn't do me any favors, right? If I don't program if I don't train my AI properly, if I have hidden rows in my spreadsheets or hidden columns, hidden sheets. One of the things we heard of one of them today was a big fraud they discovered because there were hidden sheets in an Excel spreadsheet. If you do that, it's not going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you use it right, it's going to work for you. It's at least today, and hopefully at least until I retire, all that wonderful technology is my tool. I'm not its tool.
True. Yeah.
We've all seen
There's been many.
Terminator.
No, that Terminator will happen at some point. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie. But no, I can relate because what I've seen is through I'm a geriatric millennial. I was the first year of the millennials, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love that term. So I didn't have a cell phone until I was 21, right? And now I see like 4-year-olds with cell phones. So right then and there, we are in there's been many transformations throughout our history, and we are in this AI, and we are in the early stages. So it's experimental. It's a little scary, but it's a lot of excitement too.
It can't take away your ability to think.
Right.
So
you
exactly.
experiment and see how you plug and play, but you don't let it take over if you don't know what it can or cannot do.
Exactly to your example, there was a time that we were doing work for banks. We were trying to get involved in that, and I thought this would be interesting. I'd like to learn it. So we go out and we're looking at a bank loan portfolio, and this person had like 2/3 of the payphones in Chicago. He had a couple really nice sized contracts. And as I was driving to the bank, I stopped at the corner of the 7-Eleven.
Yep.
At the red light, there's a 7-Eleven on the corner, and there's a bunch of kids over there, and there's a payphone, and all the kids were on their phones. So I went in and I said, that's all well and good, but I just saw, a bunch of teens hanging out on their cell phones. So how much this is a great, they paid every penny, they borrowed a little bit more, it's been amazing, they got a nice checking account with us, we're going to loan them $500,000 more. I don't think this is going to end very well. So we search, we think, you got to think about that. You don't have to be the most creative person, you just have to be inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
And asking a good question. There are many times that I'll ask a question on a financial statement or on a work paper, and they'll say, well, your question wasn't right, but it got me thinking, and I discovered this.
Right.
And that's part of what I do. I'm kind of like a troublemaker. My job is to be a little bit of a pain in the neck, and my wife is here. My wife is here watching to make sure I don't say anything wrong, and she would probably mostly agree that I'm very good at being a pain in the neck. And I have a little trouble sometimes separating the work life from the home life. But that's the job, asking questions, being inquisitive, finding out what's going on. And the best part is helping people go along their paths.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said with the umpires, like I said with this one person who wouldn't answer, I want to help you get better. Because, first of all, that makes me feel good. And I like to feel good.
And then?
Especially at work. It makes you better. You'll feel good. If you do better, I do better. I always try to explain to people that the job of a first-year person is to make the senior look good. The job of the senior is to make the manager look good. And the job of the manager is to make the partner look good. And if I can teach you how to do things that will make the rest of us look good, that's great for everybody.
Oh yeah.
And it feels really good when I'm sure that this buddy of mine was the most proud, but I was probably the second most proud when I found out he got promoted to being partner at a 100-person firm. It was somebody that kind of brought through a rough patch when they were a senior and went through and taught them how to work with people.
Yep.
And move it along. So I've never been, I mean, yes, I've got the ego to do this kind of stuff and then, whatever, but all along it's never been about me. It's been about the firm. If a whole bunch of really nice stuff.
Talk a little bit about that. I was curious to know, it seems that you have a big part of, Bronswick Benjamin's culture kind of driving the culture per se, because you are interacting with many of the teammates there, right?
Right.
So now, nurturing the talent, attracting the talent, retaining the talent, right? The next generation of CPAs, which is very thin right now, right? So how would you say, and I've picked up a lot of key things that you do and how you manage, and that's great. So talk about, this next generation, what is it, Gen X, Y, no, millennials are done, I'm expired, so.
You're talking to the last year of the baby boomer.
There we go. So let's talk about, the next 10 years or so. How do you see that transitioning, and how, and you yourself, do you have an example of how you've noticed maybe a shift in how you manage teams?
The way I've managed teams is generally the same until a person shows me that I need to manage differently. And for the most part, when I know what you can do, I let you do it. Now, you probably will think you have more autonomy than you really do have, because I know when the job's got to get done, and it's going to get done, because I may really like you and be trying to pull you along, but I'm not going to be I'm not going to have a failure in the partner's eyes because you decided to not make a conclusion on cash.
Yeah.
But different people are different. I'm thinking back, way back. There were a couple of years when I was working as a senior where one year I said, okay, I'm going to work no later than 5, but I'll work Saturday and Sunday, and I'll still have a nice night. And I didn't like that because I didn't work on Super Bowl Sunday. And that was about the only day I didn't work in the entire tax season. And that was draining. So the next year I said, I'll work as late as I have to on Saturday night. I'll get there at 7 in the morning, I'll work till midnight, but I'm not going to work on Sunday. And that was terrible. Also, I do not recommend that. Time moves on, and we, because of this year, because of a little slowness of getting work in, we didn't beg, but we had to, the last 2 weeks, tell people we need 60-hour weeks. And it was a little bit of a difficult time saying it, because I think now it's some combination of they probably have more self-respect than to work 65 and 70-hour weeks that we did way back when. But it's also a little bit different. And you know what? We've adapted. If this were the old days 30 years ago, sorry, it just blows my mind that I can say the old days 30 years ago.
You okay?
We might have, a firm might have 1 or 2 fewer people because you were going to be able to get people to work 65 hours.
Right.
But you don't anymore, and that's a good thing.
Right.
It's a very good thing. We work a little bit more, but then in our firm, there's lunch Mondays and Thursdays and bagels and lox on Tuesdays. So that kind of entices us to get in early and stay a little bit later those days when we have to, because the world runs on
Duncan.
And this. Yeah. So, in terms of managing, it's like anything else. I keep a list of quotes I've got that I find interesting.
Okay.
And Simon and Garfunkel saying people hear what they want to hear and disregard the rest. So I could give the world's greatest managerial advice to you, but if you don't want to hear it, or I'm not saying, I could say it to you in Spanish, which I don't speak at all, but if I could say it to you in Spanish and you don't speak Spanish, it's not going to do anything for you.
True.
So I've got to meet you where you are to help make you better.
I love that. Yeah. Spot on. Absolutely. When I managed a team, long story short, in a previous company, I was managing a team of 20, and I was I was in, this is like, God, 20 years ago. I could say that. And so I was a high performer, but I hadn't really managed a team. And that was the most stressful, but yet the most unbelievable production out of me in my lifetime, because I realized after my first years that, holy cow, you cannot manage all 20 people the same way. You can have all 20 people accountable for goal, vision, whatever it is, objective, KPI, but you're going to have to manage 20 different people 20 different ways. And that taught me so much about myself and work, career, and everything, and I appreciate that experience. So it's spot on.
It gives you a lot of even more respect for a teacher.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's what I feel that I am. Is I don't need to teach you how to do everything. I need to give you the tools so that when something comes up, you can go and do it. Because I remember being in front of my oldest child's 4th grade class because they were doing a unit on bookkeeping and the teacher was out for the afternoon, so I gave a lecture on accounting to 4th graders. And I remember being up there and said, I know you just finished your research project, your big research project. I said, well, we have U.S. accounting standards are about 50,000 or about 30,000 pages at the time. Then there's the international, which is this many pages. And then there's audit standards, which are this many pages. I'm not even getting into tax, because the IRS code is this thick. And one of the girls in the back goes, you have to know 50,000 pages of, come on. I said, no, I need to know where to find it in the 50,000 pages worth of stuff.
Right.
And then I need to know what to do with it once I catch it.
Well,
and that's why I get paid the money, because I can do that.
We want to start wrapping up our conversation. You're very easy to talk to, and I could talk to you all evening. But for what I wanted to do, 2 things is do a little rapid fire, right?
Okay.
To learn about you.
I'm ready.
And so either the first thing that comes to your mind for a word or a sentence, all right? So let's go. Best book or podcast that influenced your career?
From early on, I don't know, but for the last several years, Adam Grant, the organizational psychologist from Wharton, who his tagline is, my job is to make sure that work doesn't suck.
Bam. One accounting myth you'd like to debunk?
We're people. We have fun. I have people look at me. Michael Horowitz from BDO talks about going rim to rim with his kid, and I am convinced he did it wrong because they left early enough in the morning. When we did it, we left at sunrise so we could actually see the canyon when we did it. Accountants do stuff.
What inspires you to lead?
Seeing the lead do better and become leaders themselves. That makes me feel
that
real
one.
good. They're my kids.
If Matt wasn't an accountant, you'd be?
Shortstop.
Yes, all right.
In real life, I would probably be a teacher.
You're the way I could really relate to the way you manage people, work within the profession, and so folks that are to our listeners are watching this. Matt's career is talking about 1, longevity, but 2, you can really manage your style and integrate it into a firm's culture. And when things happen or firms join up together and it doesn't go out, there's so many opportunities out there, especially if you're a specialist in what you do. And so I think you've really proven that. And before we wrap up, though, any final words or advice to our listeners in the profession?
I think most people in the profession are out there to help you. I mean, it always feel like it, midnight on April 14th or April 15th, but people are there to help you and they want to see you succeed because your success just feeds my success.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again, Matt, for joining this podcast. And to our listeners, we'll be at the whole slew of episodes coming up. So for now, take care. And thanks again. Bye-bye.